Hey gang, Voltie here, back with another deck tech, and today's deck is going to be Dimir Lurrus. This is a deck that I've been trying to make work for a couple of days now, but I think we've finally got enough printings that the deck might be viable. Obviously you're going to be losing certain cards like Murktide Regent, which is a big deal, but at the same time there are enough threats printed at 1 and 2 mana that I think we can get away with it. So firstly we've got Lurrus, that's our 3 points and the big draw to playing this deck. Getting to start every game with 8 cards in hand is a big deal, especially when that 8th card is so powerful. I've played a lot of Lurrus decks and I've built a lot of Lurrus decks, so if you've seen some before, it should be no surprise that we're back here. For our 1-drop slot, we've got Deathrite Shaman as 1 point, Delver, Nethergoyf, which is a new printing, Stalactite Stalker, which is relatively recent, and Tamiyo, which is another new printing. The 2-drop slot should have no surprises. Beseem is a card that I really want to try. It's basically a card draw engine that also cracks in for damage and can threaten to get really big. I expect this card to see a little bit more play as people start messing around with it. Playing it and then playing a bauble to draw a card immediately is very easy to do. And then the following turn you can just play a legendary creature like Tamiyo, or another bauble, or a Nihil Spellbomb, and you can get in your 3 damage. Psychic Frog is another big addition to this archetype. The main issues we were having with Lurrus previously in the blue-black sphere was not having a high enough threat density, and Psychic Frog changes that equation pretty dramatically. Shoreline Looter is here as well. I think this card is a little bit underrated at the moment. It's very easy to just turn it into a crack and draw a card every turn, which is what Psychic Frog does. So hopefully we can get Threshold easily enough. We can go from there. For our sorceries, nothing too crazy here. We've got some discard spells. We've got Unearth because it's basically Reanimate but isn't a point. We've got some cantrips and Lorien Revealed because it's a free roll. And then in our instance, we've got your classic suite of cantrips and Permission. So, several counter spells. I've put the Stifle in. I'm not convinced it's good enough, but I kind of want to try it. We've got a Snuff Out, an Edict, a Push, and a Drown in the Lock as our actual removal spells. And then the rest are pretty stock standard. And then for artifacts, we have 2 baubles. They trigger our Shredders, they trigger our Beseem, and they're very good with Lurrus. Because we have Lurrus, I think we can squeeze in the Nihil Spellbomb as well. So you can see that there. And then for our mana base, pretty standard. 2 islands, 2 swamps. The main reason that we're playing 2 swamps, 2 islands, and not pushing for a Mystic Sanctuary, for example, is that we want to have the Underground River, the Darkslug Shores, and the Overgrown Tomb for Deathrite Shaman and making sure our mana actually cooperates. And we want all of our lands to come into play untapped, ideally, except for Sewers, but Surveilling is obviously broken. For our sideboard, we know we've got a Lurrus in there, but we've got 2 Blue Blasts, we've got a Duress, we've got a Deadweight for the creature matchups, a couple of bits of Graveyard Hate, a Land Hate card, a Bob and a Thing in the Ice, and a Polywog Prodigy. All of these are extra threats that do different things. So Thing in the Ice is very good against creatures, Dark Confidant is very good against uninteractive decks, and I want to try Polywog Prodigy. I think this card might be quite good, and I did mention it in my Bloomburrow review. It feels like it'd be very easy to grow at once, and then it's just going to draw you a card every turn. If your opponent has to cantrip to find an answer, you're going to draw a card as long as it's bigger than its current size. But if they play a bauble, for example, that counts. There's a Dress Down and Lurrus are BFFs, so no surprises there. A Mate Hook, because it gives us access to a Wrath, but unlike Toxic Deluge or Damnation, it has upside, and it is theoretically repeatable. It's unlikely your Mate Hook's going to go into the graveyard, but if it does, then you can rebuy it with Lurrus. But more importantly, if you put it in the graveyard with, say, Psychic Frog or Consider, then you can flash it back later as needed. And then we have the main draws, I think, which is Winter Moon and Winter Orb. These are the main reasons that we're playing so low to the ground. A lot of other decks in the format are hoping to hit 3 or 4 lands and cast lots of spells per turn, where we can operate off 2 very comfortably. So I think I think this should give us enough in terms of equity that we can steal games post-board. We can't play back to basics, unfortunately, because we're playing Lurrus, but I think these two will suffice, especially alongside the Damping Sphere to slow down any big mana plays. But yeah, that's Blue-Black Lurrus. There's lots of room for tinkering, so if you have any different cards you want to play, by all means go for it. If there's anything that you think I've missed, feel free to comment. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with how this list came out. I think each of the threats has enough upside that you should be able to squeeze out a lot of incremental value over the course of your games. And if you're squeezing out incremental value and then closing the game with a Lurrus, that's a recipe for success. This video was brought to you with the help and support of my lovely patrons up here. If you'd like to support me and my content and see your name here on screen, feel free to click the link below. But otherwise, leave a like if you like the video, leave a comment with your favorite Lurrus pile if you'd like, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content. Catch you all next time.